Finally, we're going to talk about an amortization schedule. What is an amortization schedule?
Shows the breakdown of the principal, interest being paid, and the balance remaining.
Exactly. So let's talk about, let's say you take out a $1,000, 10% annual rate loan with 3 payments. The first thing we have to do is find the required payments. And we can use the PMT function in Excel to do that. So the first thing Excel wants to know is what's the interest rate? That's in cell A2. Sorry, I got those are the wrong. There's a type. It should be A2, A3, and A4, not A3, A4, and A5. I'm sorry. So it should be A2. The second thing it wants is the number of periods, which is 3, which is an A3. And then finally the present value, which is the $1,000 loan that you're getting today, which is today's dollars. So that tells you it's $402.11. So what that means is that if you borrow $1,000 today at 10% over 3 years, you will have to make 3 equal annual payments of $402.11. Yeah.
I don't think we have this slide, or I don't.
Sorry?
I don't have this slide on the, what we have.
I added it an hour ago, which is why there's typos.
Oh.
I will correct the typos and put the revised slides back on.
Oh, okay.
So the next thing we do is we find the beginning balance, which is the $1,000 times the interest rate of $100, and then the difference between the payment and the $100 is the payment of principal in that year. So let's just quickly go through this table, which I think shows what we're doing. So in year 1, the upper left-hand quadrant, there's $1,000. That's the value of the loan. We're going to make a payment of $402. Of that $402, $100 is interest, which means that $302 of it is principal. So at the end of year 1, if you were going to pay the loan off after 1 year, the bank would say, you owe us $698. That $698 then gets transferred to the beginning of year 2. Payment still had $402. Now the interest is $70. Where's that coming from?
692 times the interest rate.
The 698 times 10% is $70. That leaves us with 332 of the principal and an ending balance of 3666. And then you fall through the arithmetic and you see by the end of the 3rd year, the balance is 0. So what this shows is that as you, over time, the portion of your payment that goes to principal increases. In the early years of a loan, it's mostly interest. But over time, as you get closer and closer to maturity of the loan, your percentage of the proportion of your payment that is principal goes up. Yes?
Could you provide the definition of amortization again?
Amortization?
Sure, say it that way.
Amortization is what does that look like? If your parents were here, what would they say that looks like? Yeah, they could say it looks like my child's student loan schedule. That's true. It's more likely, I think they would say this looks like their mortgage schedule. They make a monthly payment on their mortgage. Some portion of their mortgage is principal, some portion of the mortgage is interest. So what we're doing is taking that $1,000 and we're amortizing it over 3 years. That simply means how do we pay off that $1,000 loan over the 3 years? And we amortize it through principal and interest. That's all that we're talking about here.
So that term isn't the same as the way that we used it last year in 740 as like depreciation of an intangible asset. Those are just totally two different.
Yeah, amortization is a verb that's more generic perhaps than what you learned last year. Depreciation and amortization is an accounting concept which is also used. All we're doing is saying we're applying the concept of amortization to this loan. It's a process versus an account. Yeah.
As far as the payment, would we have to figure that out like separately? Like, would you have to do like some kind of like annuity to figure that out?
Here's how you did it. With the $402.11, you use the PMT function in Excel. It wants PMT, the first thing you just put in PMT, tell it what the interest rate is, how many periods you were going to amortize the loan over, and what the present value, which is the present value means what's the value of the loan, what is the value of the amount of money that you're getting in today's dollars. Other questions about anything to do with time value analysis? Let's try a few quick questions. This one's fairly simple. True or false? What's one of the two? It's true. That's true, because as we talked about a few minutes ago, that the greater the number of compounding periods per year, the faster, the larger the future amount, the smaller the present amount. Because intra-year compounding magnifies the effect of compounding and discounting. Okay, so this is a tough question. He's right. Tell us how you got that.
Well, annual compounding would be the more you compound it, the higher the rate goes, and so annual would be the lowest. And since 7's less than 8, pick 7.
Exactly. So
Say it again?
What's
So
the
it's-
answer? I couldn't hear
B.
D?
B, D is in boy.
Oh, I was looking at my
Oh,
screen.
it's different at the.
No, it's differently.
Yeah.
Oh.
I was looking at.
Look at the, look up there.
Slides say monthly.
I changed this slide too.
So which one is it?
I'm sorry, I forgot to load the new slides. I will do that.
It's still people.
Go ahead and leave your screens for a second. This is what's being said here is that E of the 8% interest rates, the one that's going to have the lowest is which one? Of A, C, and E. One's the 8% interest rate. C, because it's annual. Right? Because the other ones, if you have intra-year compounding, that's greater. That magnifies the effect. So amongst the 8% interest rates, annual compounding will give you the lowest. So C dominates A and E. Between B and D, which dominates? E is 7%. They both have 7% interest rates.
B.
B dominates D. So the question comes down to, is it B or C? And since both B and C have got annual compounding, the one with 7% has got to be less. Finally, this is the same as your slides. When a loan is amortized, is this statement true? Or false? It is false. As we talked about just a minute ago, the closer you get to full amortization of a loan, the greater the proportion of principal in your payment.